It feels like just yesterday, but it's been about 6 months since we got our first look at Kirby's upcoming 3D adventure, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. And the reaction to the initial Nintendo Direct teaser last September was certainly a positive one. Here's a game that gives the impression it isn't resting on the series' laurels, a charge often levied at the somewhat safe Kirby Star allies. Instead, the Forgotten Land is marching the pink puffball and his pals into a fully 3D world for essentially the very first time, at least in this capacity. We've been lucky enough to sit down and blast through the entire first region of Kirby's latest outing over the past week, and we can confirm that there's plenty to get excited about here. However, if you're expecting a fully open-world affair, or something along the lines of Super Mario Odyssey's Object Occupation, and there's plenty of speculation and comparison made over the past few months in this regard, it'd just be wise to adjust your expectations slightly. Kirby and the Forgotten Land may share the look and general vibe of Mario's most recent epic outing. It's got that all-new Mouthful mode ability that brings to mind Odyssey's capping mechanics, shares a familiar graphical style, and the whole thing is set to a similarly stirring and triumphant orchestral score. But the gameplay here is actually much more in line with what we found in Super Mario 3D World, which we're sure you'll agree isn't actually a bad thing. After an entertaining pre-credit sequence that sees Kirby discover his ability to swallow an entire car, along with a handful of other things, Kirby and the Forgotten Land transports us into its very first playable area, Natural Plains, a lush, overgrown environment composed of ruined urban locales that are being slowly reclaimed by nature. Its aesthetic vibe reminds us a bit of the PlayStation darling The Last of Us, but fortunately for everyone involved, Kirby isn't going to have to violently batter the life out of any clickers here, instead being tasked with rescuing his cute Waddle Dee pals who've been trapped and hidden around the area's stages by using his trademark copy abilities. Now hold up, did we just say stages? Indeed, we did. This isn't the free-roaming open-world experience that some had hoped it might be, with each region of the game's beautiful world map an entirely separate location with a different theme to it that's been divided up into wonderful little 3D stages. Jump into one of these stages and the links to Super Mario Odyssey become even more slim, as the camera here is completely fixed, framing the action for you rather than giving you the freedom to look in any direction you please. You can shuffle the camera around a bit to the left and right or up and down to see a little more of the periphery, but this is very much in line with Super Mario 3D World's style of action, albeit with larger stages to float around in. But that begs the question, would we have preferred to see a fully controllable camera here instead? Well, yeah, but once you get to grips with the game and start playing around within its gorgeous environments, it's not something that you'll feel hung up on for very long, as what's here is an absolute delight to play around with. HAL Laboratory has done a fantastic job in transporting the look and feel of classic Kirby, with all the copy abilities and moves that we've come to know and love from that cheeky little cotton ball, into a three-dimensional space. It's a shift that gives you far more opportunity to tool about and use your powers to deal with enemies and platform around, uncovering secrets and saving Waddle Dees from captivity as you make your way across the opening world's 5 stages to a big, hairy ape-shaped showdown. We've already seen the all-new Mouthful mode in a genuinely shocking effect in the game's trailers, with Kirby managing to jam a car into his mouth, and in reality, it's just as much fun as it looks, enabling our hero to blast along sections of highways, speeding through roadblocks, and flattening enemies, as well as using a jump function for some vehicular-based platforming. Alongside a car, we also got to morph into a bunch of other bits and pieces in our time in the game's first region as well, with Kirby wrapping his gums and entire body around traffic cones, a set of stairs, lockers, and a vending machine, all of which are used to solve a bunch of environmental puzzles and pummel unlucky baddies. Although we particularly enjoyed viciously blasting cans of juice at foes in the vending machine form. Copy abilities, as expected, play a big part here too, and each level has a few different enemy types that you can suck into your face in time-honored tradition, absorbing their skill set as well as their fashion sense in order to dish out damage to anyone silly enough to stand in your way. Early stages saw us utilizing sword, bomb, spike ball abilities, and fire and ice forms as well, and when mixed with the various Mouthful mode abilities on offer, there's certainly plenty of flexibility and variety in how you choose to go about dispatching your foes and making your way around areas in search of hidden wonders. On top of all of this, Kirby's abilities can now be upgraded, giving you access to sweet new variations on his base powers. As you blast through levels and save Waddle Dees, you'll gain access to facilities back in the game's Hub Village area, one of the most useful of which is Waddle Dee's Weapon Shop, where you can swap out your abilities and use stars and rare stones that you've collected to upgrade them. Take your base level Cutter ability as an example here. Kirby's standard sword swipes and charge sword spin can be enhanced into a chakram variant that sees him fling metal discs around and dish out more damage than usual. We also upgraded his basic fire form into a volcano option that brings significantly more heat to his attacks. Elsewhere in Waddle Dee Village, and at this very early stage in the game, you can jump down Gotcha Machine Alley to spend your stars on collectibles to fill out your compendium of figures. But these figures can also be found in and around the game's stages though. You can also visit Kirby's house, Waddle Dee Cafe, Waddle Dee Liveries, and even take part in a flash fishing minigame. The town hub will continue to grow as you play through later areas and accrue more Waddle Dees as well, and we can already see some half-erected mystery buildings under construction. We can't wait to find out what they actually are. There is, in short, already plenty to take in here, and all of these extras are backed up by the core gameplay that's been a delight to blast through so far, with tight 3D traversal, puzzles, and platforming mixed with a sprinkling of more traditional side-scrolling segments to please old-school fans. Across the 5 stages that make up Natural Plains, we've sped along highways in car form, plugged holes, and swatted gigantic turtles as a traffic cone, taken a trip to an overgrown shopping mall full of mall rats, and jumped into the game's unlockable side missions, which see you take part in a host of minigames based around your various copy abilities in return for rare rewards. Each and every level can be played in its entirety in drop-in co-op mode as well, with the second player assuming the role of Bandana Waddle Dee, Kirby's spear-wielding pal who has a variety of attacks and full freedom of movement, so there's no worries about the second player having a diluted role to fill in here, like in something like Super Mario Odyssey. Each stage also comes with a bunch of objectives to complete for extra Waddle Dees. Your main objectives are outlined as you begin, but the rest will reveal themselves on the fly as you happen to perform a move that relates to them. Nab a piece of fruit to refill your health bar from a bench, for example, and you'll be tasked with grabbing 4 more. It's a nice little added layer that gives each stage a little more in the way of replayability. Everything the game has to offer can be taken on in a choice of 2 difficulty modes as well. We spent our time playing on the default Wild mode, which is described as the tougher and more challenging affair that rewards you with more star coins for your efforts. However, there's also a Spring Breeze mode, which gives you a ton more health and makes things even easier so you can relax and just enjoy the ride. With a great big boss battle against a very angry gorilla rounding out our time with Kirby and the Forgotten Land's first area, we're more than just a little bit excited on what else is in store for us as we continue our adventures with this one. With a slick mix of 3D and side-scrolling puzzles, platforming, and combat action that looks great and performs perfectly in both docked and handheld modes, tons of collectibles, and a wonderfully colorful and enthusiastic vibe to the entire affair, this feels like a bit of a much-needed rejuvenation for the Kirby franchise, and a great big juicy adventure to dive into come March 25th. If you're itching to wrap your mouth around this game sooner than later, a free demo for Kirby and the Forgotten Land is available now on the eShop that lets you try out the first 3 stages and a boss battle in single player or co-op modes. Be sure to let us know in the comments down below if you're planning on giving this game a try, and let us know what your favorite feature of this new Kirby outing is as well. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more videos like this, then please do not wrap your mouth around that subscribe button, because that is not sanitary. It is not safe to do. Just click it instead. That'd be much better. And then ring that notification bell to be notified whenever we release a new video. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you to PJ O'Reilly for putting together this written preview for us. I'm Zion from Nintendo Life. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time.